Hi everyone, welcome back to the Cranbourne East Secondary Podcast for this week. Per usual, you got me, Mr. L. We also have,
Me, Mr. Young.
and then by special request and demand, the high amount we've had,
The highest ever.
I would say so,
Oh,
definitely.
The highest ever.
We also have our special guest,
Mr. Kiss.
Hey everyone. So, Mr. Kiss, if any of our viewers haven't had you as a teacher before, what do you teach at our school?
I teach English, Humanities, and this year, Year 11 Legal Studies.
Legal studies as well.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, I thought I'd pull on Mr. Kiss into our podcast today. We've been sharing an office now for, close to a whole year now. And I think more and more, every single time I walk past your desk, I just can't help but notice the little figurines you have going on. And I thought, maybe this person likes watching TV shows. And then I remember there was this one photo you showed our Year 11 teachers chat where it was just figurines everywhere. So can I try to go through all the ones that I remember and then you tell me if it's correct or incorrect? Okay. Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
Simpsons.
Yes.
Oh, what else was there? There definitely was.
Oh, wait. Was there Studio Ghibli?
Oh, yes, there was.
You have Studio Ghibli stuff?
Yeah, there was Totoro stuff.
Studio Ghibli,
Yeah.
Totoro. And then, were there any Cartoon Network stuff? I'm trying to remember. Like Powerpuff Girls or anything like that?
There's one Powerpuff Girl at the bottom, but there's a whole Sailor Moon.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sailor Moon. And then the ones that I was probably blocking more are all my Game of Thrones ones because I love Game of Thrones.
Yep.
I also have Dark Crystal, which is this movie from the 80s by Jim Henson. So it's all just like puppets.
Yeah.
And it's more of a dark movie.
Okay.
And I used to love that when I was younger, so I got all of the Funko Pops when they came out.
Yep.
And what else? I don't remember what other ones I have too. But
how much does your collection cost altogether, you reckon?
some of the Simpsons ones I've bid on eBay, and like the glow in the dark Mr. Burns is the alien.
Yeah.
That was, 150 plus.
Oh,
and then there's a diorama that I've got of Homer in The Raven, from one of the earlier Halloween episodes.
Yep.
That one was about 200.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
$200 for that.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah.
But all up, I don't know, I've spent a lot of money. I kind of got given one as a Christmas present once.
Yeah.
So a Harry Potter one.
Okay.
And then that was kind of my gateway into it. And then after that, I never stopped. So.
Wow, that's so good. The thing that I wish I had was the glass cabinets and the spacing to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Because I used to, I guess I still have the figurines. They're just in boxes now. But then they were collecting so much dust. And then I was like, but in order for it to look nice, I want to put on like an LED light at the top because my cousin has that and just shine it. I thought it would be so much better. Yeah. But unfortunately, I just didn't have the space for that. But Mr. Young, do you collect any figurines or any sorts?
So yeah, I used to collect Bionicles, and so there were the ones that you'd buy from like an actual toy store, where it's like the massive big ones where you can actually like build them together. If you don't know, Bionicles was like the next level Lego, in my opinion, like the better Lego.
It was kind of like Transformers times Lego,
Yeah, exactly. And then the one I didn't get to finish was the Happy Meals Bionicles, because there were different colors, and I had all but the blue one, and I'd literally go to every single like McDonald's and be like, I want the blue Bionicle with my Happy Meal, and they'd be like, we sold it, like we ran out. And I was like, what?
Yeah, and like McDonald's stuff. Some of those are collectibles. I remember like the Snoopy ones, the Peanut Snoopies ones, the ones where there's like one of every single country in the world. Those can be worth quite a bit these days.
Yeah.
I just have the Statue of Liberty one. I remember that. But the thing is, a lot of these that's the thing. We see as figurines and collectibles.
Yeah.
My mum sees them as toys. Yeah. So they disappear for like however many years. And then recently when I go back to my parents' place and my nephew, who's like 2 years old, is around, what do I see him holding in his hand, all scratched up and all banged up? I'm just like,
Trauma.
Yes! Yeah. That's the Snoopy toy I've been trying to look for and trying to sell online, and that's lost all its value now. So
I'll tell you, I'll do you one better.
Yeah.
So I used to have like a suitcase of toys that I'd take with me, because we always like travel to like Hong Kong to see family, and I'd bring my suitcase of toys. In that suitcase was a deck of all original Yu-Gi-Oh cards and all original Pokemon cards.
Yep.
And my mum just took that and just gave it to Salvos.
Oh,
So I lost all original cards, and like the value on those are pretty intense by now.
Definitely. The Pokemon cards, especially after last year during COVID, like, you know, a lot of influencers were really, you know, pushing up the value of it. So, yeah. So, Mr. Kiss, I wanted to ask you, since a lot of these shows that you've mentioned before, they were on morning TV back in our days.
Yeah.
Is that where you used to see them, like Toaster TV, Cheese TV?
It was. I started off with Cheese TV.
Yes. Yes, Cheese TV.
And then it changed to Toasted TV, and I was kind of offended.
It wasn't the same.
Yeah, it wasn't
was
the same.
not the same.
I didn't like the hosts, so I started to not watch it anymore because I just could not stand the hosts. But we had Foxtel at home anyway, so I would just watch the Disney Channel then in the morning. So that was a lot of the not so popular Disney shows like the 101 Dalmatians TV series or the Aladdin TV series that are on Disney Plus now, but no one that I went to school with ever watched them, so I would watch them in the morning. But there was always like Pokemon or something on one of the channels when I was growing up.
But I just still remember the Cheese TV host because they kept the same host the whole way through. Whereas Toaster TV, they had 3 and they alternated. But if I remember the names, they're probably like Jake and Ryan or something like that, or something. But yeah, I just remember those 2 hosts. There's one that with the shorter hair with a cap. But yeah, I remember watching Dragon Ball Z on that. And for me, it was such a weird thing because I grew up with Dragon Ball Z before it came to Australia. So I thought, oh yeah, this is this thing. And back then, I didn't know Japanese was a thing. I was like that young. I was probably like 5, 6 years old. I was like, oh yeah. Dragon Ball Z, in Chinese we call it like Longzhu, which literally means dragon spheres. And then I'm like, oh, there's an English version of it now, and it's on our TV. What's going on? And then that's when it started opening up my world of, oh, these actually all come from Japan. It's an anime. And so, yeah, for me growing up, I watched Dragon Ball Z, but I also watched Dragon Ball GT. Have you ever watched any of the like the original Dragon Ball or GT or anything after Dragon Ball Z at all?
I watched Dragon Ball Z, but really long ago. I was never really into that. It was more Yu-Gi-Oh! I would wake up for to watch.
Nice. Did you have a deck?
Yeah, I did. I had the Pegasus deck. Because I had all the toon cards.
That's the one I bought.
Yeah.
The pre-packaged one.
Yes.
Right?
I went to Target and I was like, I want the Pegasus deck. It came in a little tin box. And I kept that. And then always, like when we would go to the market, I would always get the dodgy, fake cards. And they would be like holographic. And you could tell which ones were the fake cards.
Oh yeah, you still can.
And then you would try and take them to school to trade with someone. And then there would be that one person that would know this is a fake card. Because I wanted like a dragon card or something. And then they just... it never worked out for me.
Yeah, I still remember that deck having the Toon World. And the Toon Blue Eyes White Dragon is in that.
Yes.
But yeah. But did you ever have any Yu-Gi-Oh cards growing up?
I did. So like I bought, unlike you guys who like bought your like a Pegasus deck, what I had to do was I actually had to build mine by constantly buying like booster packs.
Oh wow.
So like
expensive.
I didn't know like. Basically, I had no idea how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So like I'd just buy booster decks, and then eventually I'd have a booster deck, like a deck that big. I'll play against my cousin who has like a normal sized deck, and I'll still lose just because I don't know what's happening. But basically, I just had to like always rely on just like buying very small, like I think 7 cards or 10 cards at a time, just to build my own deck.
Did either of you ever learn to play the Pokemon trading card game, or do you just collect them just for the art?
I just look at the cards.
Yeah,
and I'm like, wow.
Same. It wasn't until I was a lot older when I just YouTubed. I said, you know what? I probably should learn how this game works, and they explain it in like 6 minutes. It's actually pretty straightforward, the game apparently. So, didn't know that.
Yeah, I could never play any of the card games, even Yu-Gi-Oh as well. I would just look at the names of them and then also the art as well, and just seeing what the description was.
Exactly.
And then I would have like my sketch pad that I would just draw them out again. When I used to be good at drawing, but now I'm not. So. It's like.
Oh, so you actually did sketching back then in the days.
Yeah, I used to always draw out the Yu-Gi-Oh cards and then make my own. So try and make my own stuff. And the same with like Pokemon as well. Like I would design my own Pokemon. And I see a lot of YouTubers now are doing that too. They try and design their own. But I don't know how open, the Pokemon company would be to any of my
suggestions.
Any of my suggestions, but I think they were just like rip-offs of the ones that were already made.
Well, if they're allowing piles of garbage to be Pokemon, surely it can't be that bad.
Have you seen the app where it's like they fuse multiple Pokemon together?
No.
There's like an online website, and you can choose different Pokemons you want fused together, and then they just fuse it, and then they just make a completely new Pokemon based off those two Pokemons.
So cool. I'm gonna do that tonight.
Sounds
Yeah.
like Digimon.
The rip-off Pokemon.
I was talking to my year 11s about that. One of my year 11s in my class, she was like, you know what, sir? Did you watch Digimon back then? I'm like, I guess I like season 2. She's like, oh, I don't trust anyone that doesn't like Digimon. I'm like, really? Pokemon's way better than Digimon. Yeah, and I think it just sucks because in English translation, people think that one is a rip-off another because of the names, right? But in Japanese, their names are probably totally different. That's what I reckon. So they're quite different entities, but then because of the language translation, people think, oh yeah, especially parents, like, oh yeah, it's Digimon, Pokemon, same thing. They just look at Pikachu, it's like, oh yeah, it's a Digimon, Pokemon, whatever.
Well, like the whole premise of it is completely different as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like if you don't know what Digimon is, it's basically like, I think a group of 5 kids get transported into a new world, and then like that's
like 5 or 6.
Yeah, and then they have their own Digimon that they eventually make friends with, and then they're trying to get
in the digital world.
Yeah,
in the digital world.
Yes.
And then they're trying to get back to their own world, I believe.
Yep. Yeah. So if that was what you watched before school, so then after school, I don't know about the both of you, but for me, it was 6 o'clock, right? Channel 10. Okay, so it's like everyone else was doing the news, but then Channel 10 would be The Simpsons, if I remember correctly, or it was like 7 o'clock or something like that. And so it's like, as a kid growing up, it was like, why would I want to watch the news? I've got no idea what's going on. I'd much rather watch The Simpsons instead. So did both of you grow up watching The Simpsons as well?
Yes. I still watch The Simpsons all the time.
Yep.
So some of the teachers laugh at me because I get up at 6 a.m., sometimes 5:30, and then before I come to school, so those 2 hours, I'll just watch The Simpsons in the morning.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah.
I was banned from watching The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but my parents were like, the profanity in this show is intense. So no.
Really?
They did it for every single show, like on at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Like Family Guy.
Well, Family Guy, of course.
Family Guy, yeah.
Fair, but the
Futurama.
Futurama was
a bit more. Yeah, a bit more.
I completely agree with this one. South Park.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like all of those just completely got banned.
Yeah.
My most favorite show now, Rick and Morty, would have definitely been banned for me.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess a lot of people talk about the unfortunate gradual decline of The Simpsons over the years, especially with the different, I guess the newer episodes, people say they aren't as good. Now, do you remember what the online community says was the worst episode where the decline started happening?
I hope it's not Lisa and the Lady Gaga episode, is it? Lisa Goes Gaga? No. I see a lot of hate about that one, and I love that episode.
I think...
Which one?
Yeah, the one that I read online that people hated the most, the episode, was the second Seymour Skinner. The one where the real Seymour Skinner comes in.
Yeah.
And a lot of people... So, in the show, there's a principal who runs Bart's and Lisa's school. And then they find out that apparently he was fake because he had taken the name of one of his army commanders. Commanders. And I believe that they hated that episode so much they even retconned it, I think they just don't even show the episode anymore because they said just people hated it that much. Well, like, do you remember that episode?
I know that episode, yeah. So, and then, he ended up, the commander supposedly died. Yeah. So then the new Skinner kind of took his identity and went home and pretended to be him. Yeah. Because he didn't have a very good life beforehand. Yeah. And then Dad Skinner showed up and was like, well, why aren't I the principal? And then their lives kind of switched back around again. And then at the end, he got kicked out of the town, and then they're like,
nothing ever happened. Yeah.
I mean, they literally said that. It was kind of a plot hole. Like, there was no point to that episode at all.
Exactly. Do you have a favorite episode then? It might be pretty hard, so maybe top 3.
I love all of the Halloween episodes.
Yes.
Just because I love to see them all in different, like, costumes and different, like, designs, different storylines. My favorite episode, which I watched this morning, is when Marge goes for the theatre production of a Streetcar Named Desire. Yep. So it's called A Streetcar Named Marge. Yep. I think it's in season 4, episode 2 or something. You can find it on Disney Plus anyway. Yeah. But yeah, I just love that episode so much. It's got so many good lines. And there's just this one of Marge singing. Yeah. And she just goes to audition to sing and she just goes, la, and then he's like, next, thank you for nothing. And I was just like, it makes me laugh all the time.
Yeah. Oh, Perfect. Did you actually ever get to catch up on any Simpsons episodes when you're older?
Okay, so like I watched a few.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly which ones I've had. So like I've seen, I think, Lisa as president.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
I
I think she imagines herself as president, or
Maybe.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing like a really like a grown-up version of Lisa, and she's like managing, I think. But my most memorable interaction with Simpsons was before I could even watch it. Was we had book sale weeks at school, and then I actually bought one of those. It was kind of like a thick picture book of The Simpsons, but it was one of those the Halloween Treehouse rendition of the books, and that was where like I actually got to like interact with most of The Simpsons.
Yeah. Speaking of that Lisa being president episode, there's online you'll see that a lot of people talk about how The Simpsons can predict the future, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the Lisa episode actually comes to mind because what she wore was that purple
blazer
blazer with the pearl necklace, and then Kamala Harris, who's the current vice president of America, was wearing like the same thing, which was sworn in the office, and it was like, oh my god. And then Donald Trump, but then if you actually look online, it actually talks about how someone did this mathematical formula of why The Simpsons is so good at predicting the future. It's because they just make so many jokes. So if we actually took a look at how many jokes that don't actually come true, don't actually come to fruition, you would see, of course, The Simpsons is actually not good at predicting the future, but people are just good at nitpicking at the ones that they got correct.
Yeah.
So that's one of the key things I remember about that. Yeah. So do you remember any of the other like future prediction ones other than like the Donald Trump, Lisa?
There's the current coronavirus one, so when there's the panda flu, the panda flu, that came. So there's that one. There's also one book that I think it's Lisa's reading, and it's Curious George and Ebola. So when Ebola was a thing, they said that was
coming to America.
Ebola, there's Donald Trump coming down the escalator. There's so many that they always say they predict, but. It definitely is because there's so many different storylines.
Exactly.
But also, I think I read somewhere that the animators, they make the episode so quickly after a news story that by the time that it comes to the public, it's still recent. It's not really like they've predicted the future. They've just been able to process it that quickly.
Oh, wow. That's cool. And then speaking of like Donald Trump, there's been heaps of celebrities on the show before, sometimes providing their own voices. Because not all shows do that. Like I know, for example, South Park, they parody celebrities quite a lot, but not all celebrities are game enough to be on South Park and actually take a dig at themselves. But usually the digs at celebrities in The Simpsons ain't too bad and ain't that deep. So do you remember any key ones from any key episodes that you remember? Oh yeah, that was a really funny celebrity episode.
My favorite one of all time is the Michael Jackson episode.
Oh, you stole it from me. You stole it from me.
The Michael Jackson episode.
Oh my god.
And then it was never actually credited to Michael Jackson.
Exactly. Oh my god.
Until after that they said yes, it was actually him.
Yeah.
So what is it? Homer goes to a mental asylum, and then he meets this big white guy who says he's Michael Jackson. Yeah.
And he starts moonwalking and everything. Yeah. This is his actual voice. Yeah.
And then he tells everyone, "Oh, I'm bringing Michael Jackson home." Everyone's waiting there with, I think it's the bad record.
Yeah.
And then they're waiting for it to get signed, and then he comes out, and then they're like, "This is non-Michael Jackson."
Yeah. Oh, that was like one of the favorite ones.
Yeah. Michael Jackson. And then also, this one blows my mind all the time, but Reverend Lovejoy's daughter, that's Meryl Streep, is the voice of that.
Yes, she voices that. That's the episode where Bart falls in love with her.
Yeah.
And she's like full on evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how does Meryl Streep fit in all of these roles all of the time?
Exactly.
Like, she's a 12-year-old girl. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. I think my favorite episode would have been the Who Shot Mr. Burns Part 1, Part 2. I think it's one that a lot of people say, oh, that's a very easy one to choose, but it just wasn't just a funny episode. And at the end, when you find out, I won't spoil, who actually shoots Mr. Burns, you're like, that is so stupid, but yeah, I guess it works within the Simpsons universe. So I did actually enjoy that as well quite a bit. Have either you seen? I mean, I guess you would have, but have you seen the Simpsons movie?
I have.
You have.
That's the one I look forward to. So like, this is kind of embarrassing. So like, I actually watched the Simpsons movie, but I was on the plane.
Okay.
And then you know how like at one point of the Simpsons movie they say "to be continued."
Oh yeah.
I actually like audibly sighed on the plane, and everyone was like, "What?" And then they said immediately. I was like, oh, okay. And then, so like I watched the whole thing. I think that was my most interested, like the time I was most interested in Simpsons, like just making sure, like that was the first time I actually properly interacted with it fully.
Oh, yeah. So did you watch it in the cinemas or?
I did. So I still remember that night.
Yeah.
Because I think I was in grade 5, and my grade 5 teacher was really obsessed with The Simpsons, so all of our ability groups were in Simpsons.
Yeah.
And I remember waiting in line for the cinema, and she comes out, and she had like tears, and then she saw like me and my friend saying that. Yeah. She's like, "Boys, it was the best thing ever."
It's so good.
And then that next week at school, she would just not stop talking about it.
Yeah.
But then now watching it, it's okay.
Yeah, it sets expectations high. Yeah. It's kind of like when Endgame was first coming out. I remember talking to some of my year 12s next door in Yellow Theory 2, and everyone was like, I remember when I saw it like opening night, and it came the next day, just like all smug, like, yeah, that's right. I know what happens. I'm watching. I was like, no, sir, you can't tell us. I'm like, if you misbehave, then you never know. I might have to slip a few things here and there. Yeah.
I used to do that. So when I used to tutor year 12 students, if they didn't do the homework or if they weren't working hard enough, I would drop spoilers as well, and he would hate it.
Yeah.
Especially Black Panther ones.
Well, I threatened it for Demon Slayer to my class recently, but then one of them just goes, spoil it, sir, spoil it all. And I was like, what? No.
You
don't catch on my
bluff. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, yeah, you were just watching Demon Slayer over the holidays, weren't you?
Yeah, I did. I didn't finish watching it, but I watched the first few episodes, and then I got sidetracked with reality TV.
Yep, as we always do. Reality TV. Oh, it's just so addictive sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So just before we move on to this little interactive I wanted to be doing with you, Mr. Kiss, who do you feel is your favorite Simpsons character, and then which Simpsons character do you identify with the most?
Oh my god. Favorite Simpsons character. I think like this is going to be the worst one you've ever heard, but I really like Kent Brockman.
Really?
Yeah, just because he's so dry and like he's hilarious. So he is one of my favorites, but I have so many.
Yeah, the
news anchor. Yeah. And then what was the other one who I identify with the most?
Which one do you identify with the most?
I would say Lisa, because I was always really like studious.
Yeah.
Like my parents focused more on my brother because they were more sporty. When I was younger, and I felt like I never got attention or anything like that. And yeah, I just think that Lisa is definitely one that I connect with. I feel like there's a really bad interview question right now. Like when you're in a job interview and you're just like, this is why I'm the best for the job. But Lisa is one that I connect with because she's one that just like pushes through all the situations, and I try and do that. She's always positive. True. I'm just not musical, that's all.
Yep, okay.
But so, I like to sing.
Yeah, because I thought I'd ask you, because let's find out what Buzzfeed thinks, shall we? So, yes, here we go. So, which Simpsons family member actually are you?
Okay.
Have you done this before?
No, I've never done this.
Alright, so, there's a few questions.
Okay.
I think there's only 4 or 5. So, what's been your greatest achievement of life? Would you say handling challenges, securing awards, pursuit of knowledge, maintaining a happy family, or following your bliss?
I'm going to say following my bliss, because I always try and do things that will make me happy. Yeah.
Good life motto.
I know, that's what Beyonce says. My one goal in life is happiness.
Exactly. Yeah. What describes you best then?
Okay.
The ultimate realist, ready to try anything once, an inspiration to others. Hey, you would hope so as a teacher, huh? A natural leader, or a huge sense of beauty?
An inspiration to others, because I always say that all the time, like I'm a huge inspiration. All of my students know I'm their greatest inspiration.
Yep, exactly.
Greatest fear.
Greatest fear. Fear of time, failure.
That's too real.
Being judged, fear of who you really... Oh, wow, that's deep. Fear of who you really are, or fear of loss.
Well, spiders isn't on there, so I couldn't choose that. I would just go failure. But the reason is because I hate disappointing people.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not on there. Disappointing others.
others.
But sometimes when you fail, you disappoint others. So I don't like
that. That's even
doing
worse. Yeah.
What's your hobby?
What's your hobby? Blogging, traveling, sports, music, or reading? If you had to choose out of these 5.
I would say music, but it's more listening to music, appreciating music.
That still counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't have to be playing music, I don't think.
Big like pop culture fan, go into everything.
Okay, so last question. This is another deep one. Wow. What's your biggest regret? Now, you don't need to share it completely, but here's the 5 that you can choose from. So I don't need to be like, when was it? What happened? Yeah. So working too much, not spending enough time with family, worrying too much, taking life too seriously, or not following your passion. What is your biggest regret, if you had any one of these?
It's taking life too seriously. And I remember one of my year 12 teachers, he came to me just before my exams and he's like, seriously, Jake, just take a breath. And he's like, don't take it too seriously. And ever since that, that's always stuck in my mind. And I've always like got this motto in my head, like there's always another train that's coming. Like I'm not going to run to catch the train. Because I always know there's going to be another one coming. So I never run for public transport. That's the point. I never take life too seriously.
Oh man, yeah.
I'll never run for a bus or a train.
All right.
Always another one coming.
Let's take a look at the final answer then. You are
I'm Bart.
Bart Simpson. So, like Bart, your most popular traits are mischievousness, rebelliousness, and disrespectful authority. You're the misunderstood, if not potentially a little dangerous eldest child. That's what they think. Quite different to...
Yeah, that's not who I am, but that's okay, Buzzfeed.
Yeah, that's Buzzfeed. You're entitled to your opinion. What can we say?
Maybe it's because it's through your laptop and they know your personality more than my personality because the CIA is watching you, not me.
Oh yeah. I guess I could identify as a Bart. I would identify as a Bart in my family more so than any other character. As long as it's not Homer. That's what I hope, because my parents would absolutely hate me if it's Homer. But, yeah. So, now that we're hitting this final part of the show, I would like if each one of us could share maybe something that we want some of our viewers and listeners to watch. So maybe I'll start first to give you two a bit more time to think about it.
Okay.
So the show that I actually want to recommend is one that I guess schools sometimes they show in English, but sometimes they show in science. And that film is Gattaca. So Gattaca, the thing is, you might have had a chance to watch it at school, but I know with COVID, some of our teaching and learning sequences have had to change a bit, so you might not get to watch it anymore potentially. But if you do get a chance, Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman, right? It's a movie about how there's a dystopian society where everything that you do and what you're allowed to do is based on your genetics and your genetic ability to be able to do this, do that. And so our main character wants to actually be on a mission to go to the moon, but because of his medical condition, he can't. So he has to find a way around it, and that's where Jude Law comes in. Oh, Jude Law in the movie. Oh my goodness. He comes into the movie, and then he talks about how he plays into the whole show. So yeah, it's a very interesting movie to think about. Really gets you thinking, and I believe even at the end of the movie, that's when Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman actually got married. They actually met on set and then got married, had a kid afterwards. Yeah. So Gattaca is what I would recommend, and I'll be putting that in our description underneath for the link. Any of you two feel ready to share a show?
Yeah, I can share one.
Yeah,
sure. Okay, so my one is a bit more mature rated, so make sure you check the rating for this. It's an anime, and it is called, it's pretty old, I think. Like, there should be like 2 or 3 seasons out by now, and it's called Psycho Pass.
Ah,
yeah.
Is Psycho Mob 100?
Nah, Psycho Pass.
Okay, so this one's different? Okay.
Yeah, so what happens in Psycho Pass is basically there's this whole like security system called the civil system, and what they do is they have basically cops who have this system installed into their guns, and it monitors your crime index. So the crime index is rated in numbers and colors, and basically the higher the index, the more likely you are going to commit a crime. And then what they do is they use that index to actually like detain people, put them into systems, or even sometimes just neutralize them. So it's like this whole, it starts off like introducing you to the world, but then it just really goes into that whole philosophy or like that whole debate whether people who have committed a crime like can they be can they like be rehabbed or and returned to like completely neutral to society.
Yep.
It also talks about if someone is likely to commit a crime, should they be judged when they haven't even done it yet? So like it has a lot of like political discussions, so it's really interesting to watch.
So it's pretty much just an anime series of Minority Report, which is a movie. I don't know if you've heard of it before. It's a Tom Cruise movie, but it's pretty much the same thing where Tom Cruise is like a policeman, and his job is to capture people before they even commit crimes based on like computer calculations and stuff. And then one day he finds that his name comes up, and then he has to start running, and he's thinking like, why is this coming up? I have no ill intent. What's causing this? And so it's like him running from the law whilst trying to figure it out. So it's a futuristic one. So yeah. Neither of you heard of Minority Report? Oh,
no.
Shows my age. Shows my age. I just hit the big 3-0 already with this generation gap.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
You're in the same like scale as Mr. Schmeling now.
Oh, jeez. Oh, super old. Yep. Mr. Kiss, lastly, any show to recommend?
I've got a classic movie that I really want everyone to watch, Clueless.
Clueless, yep.
If you have not watched Clueless, it's amazing. Clueless is my movie that if I don't have anything to watch, if I can't be bothered, I'll just watch it.
Yep.
So it's kind of like I think when is it from? The late 90s?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a version of Mean Girls. Just growing up high school. Obviously, it's nothing that like teenagers deal with these days.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like growing up, you know, realizing who your emotions are for. And also like they do it in New South Wales. It's a part of their VCE or their HSC curriculum.
Yeah.
They do a comparison because it's based on a book called Emma.
Okay.
So they do a comparison between the two. So it's one of those movies that you can watch and it's just like some people say teen trash, but it's actually based on like classic literature.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing.
Yeah.
There's some really great one-liners in there. If you've ever watched Iggy Azalea's fancy video, that's basically Clueless.
Okay. I see. I've realized that, you know, the English curriculum, wherever we are, always likes to have a focus on those coming of age stories quite a bit, huh? Because even I've been working with someone and they've been reading Jasper Jones. Yeah, and that's another coming of age story that some schools have to study on as well, which is like a modern Australian version of To Kill a Mockingbird, pretty much. So it's pretty interesting, that book as well. You know, we've never actually recommended books before, Mr. Young. We should probably start doing that a bit more, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, you viewers need to start becoming readers.
Yes.
Read more.
Go to the library, watch this video.
Yep.
And let's smash Miss Candy's record on this video.
Yes,
yeah,
let's do that.
Because she's currently the highest watched person. So I'm sorry, Miss Candy, but today is your last day there.
Oh, here we go. Well, you never know. Maybe I could also promo this episode around a bit in the buildings. I think it's time for Mr. Savio and Mr. Darlington's face to come down.
Yeah, I know.
Mr. Kiss's face up and put a screenshot and be like, hey, new episode out.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Kiss.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's always great when we have teachers staying behind on a non-meeting day so that they can chat to you or and if you've never had Mr. Kiss before, definitely if you ever see him out on yard duty and or if you have him as an extra class, you know, there's some few key things you can talk to him about as well after you've followed all the class's instructions.
Exactly, and being nice as well.
Exactly. So thank you so much.
That's okay.
And of course, if you've got any more suggestions in the future, please put it in the Google Forms or just let one of us know. And that's like how we got Mr. Kiss on today, you know? Because the key word was, I believe, from one of my year 11s. I want the fantastic, fabulous Mr. Kiss on the show. So I was like, yep, let's get that going. Until then, everyone, have a happy and safe week. Stay healthy, and we'll catch you all next week on the podcast. Bye, everyone.
See ya.
See ya.